Hey guys, so today I bring you a book haul. This one's a little weird because it's technically my birthday book haul, even though my birthday was over 2 months ago in April, but due to the gift cards that I received, I really took my time deciding what books I wanted, so I didn't end up acquiring all of them until right about now. So yeah, that's what's going on here. 3 of the books I received from Penguin, and then the other 4 I bought using gift cards that I got. So let me share them with you. The first one is The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. Ooh, tongue twister of a name. She has written a book about 10-year-old Ada who has never left her one-room apartment because her mother is embarrassed by the fact that she has a twisted foot. This takes place during World War II in England when all of the children were being pulled out of London and shipped out to the countryside, and Ada's younger brother is taken to be shipped out, and she decides to escape with him so that she can leave the cruelty of her mother. And then when she goes to stay with the new person, she learns so much about herself, she grows, and then it sort of becomes this thing of, at the end of this war, I'm going to have to go back to this horrible person, but I really want to stay with this wonderful lady who has taught me so much about myself. And the great thing is this is actually a middle grade novel, as you might have been able to ascertain from the cover here. Sounds like a potential for a really, really lovely book, so I'm excited to read this. The next book I received from Penguin is Half Wild by Sally Green. This is the second book in the Half Bad trilogy. I read Half Wild a little over a year ago and enjoyed it. It wasn't fantastic, but I enjoyed it enough to want to try and read the second book. This follows modern-day witches in Europe, and Nathan is the product of a white and a black witch, the good and the bad witches, so to say. And a lot of the fate of the witches community rests on his shoulders. What are they going to do about this evil father of his? Each witch has a certain power that they're sort of really good at, and Nathan's finally figured out what his is, but he can't control it, and all of the stuff that happened in the first book is just continuing to make his life that much harder in this one. So we have to see if he is able to sort of overcome, join together with people to face off against the Evil Witches Council. The third book I received from Penguin is Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen. I've only read one other book of hers, and that was because Les is a big fan and she wanted me to read it. This was like way back in high school. But I decided that due to all the buzz around this book, it was time to give Sarah Dessen another try. Not that I didn't like the other book, it's just not something I would normally go and pick up. This book follows Sydney, who's always sort of lived in the shadow of her older brother, and then her older brother is in a drunk driving accident and has to do jail time, and Sydney's whole life is kind of turned upside down. It seems like she's sort of in this place of trying to find herself when she meets this other family, and they help her grow, and of course, as always, there's a boy, so that's what's gonna happen with the boy. And it just seems like something I would love to sit out on my balcony and read in the sun with like a nice cold drink, preferably alcoholic. If there were nice beaches around here, I would totally go read this on the beach, but there isn't, so I will read this book on the balcony and it'll be great. The 4 books that I picked up for myself were all adult fiction. I've already covered my middle grade and YA for this video. The first book is actually a Penguin Modern Classics book, and it's Walter Benatti's The Mountains of My Life. Now this was a total random find. I was just browsing the chapters website because that's what my gift card was for, and I was like, you know what, I need more Penguin Modern Classics because I live in Canada and they're actually available here, so I should make use of that. So I was just searching and I found this one, and I thought it sounded really fascinating. I've never heard of him, at least not, you know, that I can remember, and he's a mountaineer who is Italian, and he, in this book, is relaying stories of his life climbing, and there's one specific story about a K2 ascent that I guess is very much tied with his name, and he gets into detail about that. I really enjoy stories like this. I mean, this is something I will never do in my life, but I really love reading about it, and so I figured this was definitely worth picking up, and it's got a really awesome cover, this guy climbing a mountain on it, so. I did pick up one more Penguin Modern Classics book, and that is F. Scott Fitzgerald's Flappers and Philosophers, which is a very large collection of all of his short stories. And I can't remember if I've ever purchased a short story collection. This does include his very famous story, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, amongst many others. And even though it is very large, none of the stories are particularly long, so I feel like, hey, if I'm not really enjoying this one story, I only have to get through 15 more pages before I have another potentially awesome story. It follows the Jazz Age into the 30s and then also into sort of the twilight years of his life. I've never heard of any of the other short stories besides The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but I really like F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. It's one of my favorite books, and I feel like I should be branching out and reading more of his stuff because he seems like an awesome author. So 2 more books for you. The second to last book is The Martian by Andy Weir. I've been hearing tons of stuff about this, all really, really good. I don't think I've heard a single negative review. It's about the first manned mission to Mars, and this guy named Mark gets left behind after this freak dust storm occurs and his team thinks he's dead and they leave him behind. The only problem is he's alone on Mars and there's not a lot to keep him alive for very long, so he has to use his skill, his ingenuity to try and survive until they can hopefully A, figure out that he's still alive, and B, come save him. And the one thing that I've really heard about this book is that the humor in it is amazing. It's so funny in that sort of dark, humorous, I might die at any moment way. It is also being made into a movie, and I did see the trailer for it. It stars Matt Damon, and actually the trailer made me even more excited to read the novel because it gave me a little bit more of a glimpse into what I could potentially be getting myself into, just because the back is descriptive, but it's not that descriptive, and the movie sort of showed hints of things, you know, that might happen later on in the story, and I was like, I like where this is going. The final book is actually a new release, so I got it in hardcover, which I don't tend to do, and it is Jon Krakauer's Missoula. I am a huge fan of Jon Krakauer. I have read a number of his stories, and even have Under the Banner of Heaven right there, and I need to read that. So this follows Missoula, Montana, and the little subtitle here is Rape and the Justice System in a College Town. It follows a number of women who were raped in Missoula and sort of the different paths that their lives take. Some of them decide to go to the police, some don't, some prosecute, some don't, and what happens in sort of the way that society is treating them because of what they've decided to do. This is a controversial subject anyway, but the fact that a lot of these women were raped by men on the college football team or potentially other sports teams, it just makes it that much worse. The ridicule is that much worse, and of course everyone doesn't want to ruin their star team because one of them is a rapist, and so, you know, they might try to cover it up. And the description for this book starts on the back here, goes onto this flap, and then even goes onto the back flap. It's very detailed. But even just reading those flaps got me a little angry, and I feel like I will become very enraged and upset while reading this. This is a topic that I get very angry about, and it should make everyone angry, but I feel like there is probably going to be some times where I'm just going to have to put this book down, take a deep breath, and then keep going because it's going to be very impactful. Alright, so if you guys have read any of these books, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always open to suggestions for what book I should pick up next, so if you really want me to read Missoula, or you really want me to read Saint Anything, let me know in the comments below, and then whichever book has the most comments for me to read it, I'll read it next. As always, all of the links are in the doobly-doo. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.